Hello everyone, we are continuing on with our NHL season preview series as the season approaches us, and today we're going to be talking about the New Jersey Devils. So, what do we have to say about the Devils? Well, stick around and find out. Before we start though, please make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'd really appreciate it, trying to do this as a full-time career, and if you want to be here for that, absolutely would love it. If you're on the fence, just watch the video and see what you think. So, let's talk about the Devils. New Jersey missed the playoffs again. What is this, their 9th time in the past 10 seasons? They ended up going 27, 49, and 46 and 9 for a very, very disappointing 63-point season. Their worst point total in an 82-game season since the 1985-86 season in the New Jersey era, if I'm not mistaken, even despite making big offseason additions last season. But this year could be different, right? Maybe. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about multiple storylines and what my expectations should be for them, or what I think their expectations should be. So let's get to it. The first talking point will be about the additions the Devils made to try to get back into playoffs for this season. The most notable are probably Andre Palat, and I want to say John Moreno. I know you guys are probably thinking, what in the world, but let's talk about it. Palat is a guy that everybody's talking about, obviously a former two-time Stanley Cup winner with the Tampa Bay Lightning, but was forced out of Tampa Bay due to cap constraints and comes up the East Coast due to that. And he could, maybe, just maybe help this team score goals, especially in the postseason. But what will he be able to do in general? Well, I think be able to score those goals, play against quality lines or the better lines on opposition, against the opposition, and I think that is going to be very good for them. Not exactly sure what his impact will be on the power play, but he should be able to add positive impact at even strength. Although, if you remember, the Devils really struggled on the power play last year. Still, looking at Palat, you're getting a guy that has experience, is a little bit older, so he's seen it. But in the sense where he's seen it in big moments as well and has been able to win those games in the Stanley Cup, which could be an asset to a team that really has not made the postseason a lot over the past decade. I don't like the fact that he's getting a longer deal at his age, but for this season, I really am curious to see how much he can help out their first or second line. As for Moreno, if you're not bigger into hockey, you probably don't know who he is. I would really say that they could do well with this one if some things click. Now, he was part of the trade that sent Ty Smith in a pick over to Pittsburgh, and he is no doubt a defensive defenseman that is not going to be a guy that contends for the Norris on a yearly basis, but he does provide value by helping make sure his team is able to exit their D zone and also make sure that he doesn't allow a lot of chances and that he is able to just do that for a lot of minutes. Could he be an overpay some years? Absolutely he could. He's a guy that doesn't provide a crazy amount of offense, but he already has a lot of experience in a great organization in Pittsburgh and could help out this blue line that had some pretty good defensive results, even though you wouldn't expect it from last season. Would I say that he's going to be a top pairing defenseman? Maybe not, unless that offensive game expands, but in a top 4 role, I really do think that he will be able to make a good impact for the team. Palat undoubtedly will be the bigger name that everybody talks about, but look out for Moreno on the blue line. So, as for another storyline, we have to talk about Jack Hughes. You knew it was coming. Jack was able to very, very loudly make an impact this season after having a very quiet rookie year and then, kind of going under the radar the season after that. Then he exploded. I didn't fully predict it. I thought there could be some signs because I have seen some things saying, he is a potential future star, budding superstar. And I was like, maybe, let's watch. And this is where I'm starting to buy into that. He scored 26 goals in 49 games last season, which means over a full season, he would have 44 goals if he was on pace to hit that, while also having 30 assists to make him an above point per game player in year 3. And he did all this while battling multiple injuries and dealing with the spicy cough. Over a full season, he would have gone on to average 94 points, and that would have finished tied second for most points by a player over the course of a regular season in Devils franchise history at the young age of 20, 21, and on top of that, he would have been just 3 points away from taking that top place all time for the most points in a season by a New Jersey player. It's honestly refreshing. I'm glad to see it. I love to see it. New Jersey has been this team that especially in recent years, maybe they're not going to have these big stars play for them. They might not have the flashiest players. Here we are now. Jack Hughes is looking the part, looking like that future superstar for the team, and it blows my mind as he has been a guy that just came onto the scene. Everybody's thinking bust, bust, bust. Now we're talking, how many points could he get? Could he hit triple digits? But on top of that, he's also good for the Devils marketing-wise. Now you don't necessarily have to be like, oh, Nico Hischier or somebody like that is the best player, the most known player. You have a guy in Hughes that is not only a guy that fans would buy the jersey, but fans of the league would say, I really like Hughes. He's a fun player to watch, especially in transition. I want to get a Jack Hughes jersey, which is good for business. I'm not exactly sure what this season will entail for him. I have to be completely honest here. But I do think we're going to see him at least replicate some form of that success from last season. He's going to be a very good player, and we know that. And I am going to be putting my chips, pushing him forward into the table, betting on having a very good career going forward. On to this final storyline, though, we're going to be talking about the situation in net. Wouldn't be one of my videos, one of my previews without talking about this, but this is actually really important for New Jersey going into the season. They played relatively well defensively, yet struggled in a lot of ways because of their goaltending. Now I know that having a good team defensively and having bad goaltending can kill your season, i.e. New Jersey. Not saying they would have been studs, but look at what happened to them. And you look at the fact they had 7 different goalies go out there for them in between the pipes, and that was not going to be a recipe for success because they didn't have consistency or quality play. This year they need to have that net if they want to make the playoffs, and I'm a little worried about how this will actually play out. Now, I do think they will probably throw out Mackenzie Blackwood as their starter, and it could go well or poorly for a variety of reasons. On the positive note, he showed a lot of potential in his first 2 years, and I think a lot of people, including myself, thought maybe they found the guy in net for them, as he went 32, 24, and 8 in that span, along with a .916 save percentage and 12.5 goals saved above average. Then fast forward 2 years, everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, maybe he's not the guy in net, as he went from having a .916 save percentage to an .898 save percentage, and his quality start percentage went from 56.3 to 45.8. There's been a lot that's happened in that time, so maybe it's not all that on the ice as there is stuff off the ice, but I think he is headed into the season and has the potential with the right mindset to take that role over and be that starter again, or at very least be a 1A, 1B type guy for them. I think he does have what it takes in the sense of he's got experience and he's going to be playing in a team that should be able to limit chances well, especially with the addition of defensive defensemen like Moreno. Blackwood could be in a great spot here and maybe secure a long-term future with New Jersey again. He's in RFA after this season, and with a good season, maybe you get a midterm deal to long-term deal. I'm thinking mid, probably 2 to 4 years, something like that. But yeah, he is in a spot where they are giving him the opportunity. He needs to grab it by the reins and take it for everything he's got, because now or never is this kind of moment with him. He is young. He can still be that guy, in my opinion. Now, if things aren't working out, that's all right, because they have a goalie from the Washington Capitals, former Washington Capital, Vitek Vanacek. Vitek is a guy that might not be a stud, but has looked like an average-ish goalie in his time in the league, playing 79 games, and Washington was where he was able to, kind of get his teeth in there and kind of get an opportunity. Now he is with a new team. I'm not exactly sure if he's ever going to be a starter. In fact, I would probably say that's not going to be the case, but he could perform well, especially if Blackwood's not performing well. You say, well, let's give Vanacek a chance and see if he can run with it. Given the cap situation, though, if the Devils struggle, you're probably looking at trading a guy like Blackwood and assets if you can give those up, because they are not in a spot where they could trade to get a goalie without having to give up cap, because they have like $75,000-ish in cap. So you can't use 710s in net, and you really would ideally not like to have to make a trade. We'll see if it picks out. I know I could be burned by this prediction, but I really would say with the defense that New Jersey could have this year by limiting chances, I'm going to say Blackwood could come back and be the starter next season and for a few years if things go well. We'll have to see. Though I have to say, all around, I'm looking at this roster and I'm starting to love it. What are my expectations, though, for the New Jersey Devils? I would say I'm not sold on them being in the playoffs yet. I think what's going to have to happen is you're going to have Hughes have a big year, and everybody that was in a supporting role have a big year as well. They have some guys that are underrated, and you look at them, and they might not be players most people would know that weren't Devils fans, but they had multiple guys that were able to score 20 goals, and you say, okay, if they can replicate this and they get better goaltending with the blue line they've got, maybe, just maybe, things could work out. Dougie Hamilton, could have a big year. I'm starting to love to look at this. Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not. At least I don't think so, but I would say they're one of my sleeper teams. Palat, if he plays well right off the bat, and other guys, we could be looking at this team getting back there and kind of reinvigorating the fan base who's been starved of postseason hockey as of late when they were one of the best teams of the 90s and the early 2000s. So I'm hoping that's the case, but I really would love to hear your expectations for the New Jersey Devils this season. What do you think will happen for them? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, and you go off hockey all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.